It's your council. Take part in it. Learn about the PD Area Council coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Clemmons campsite at Camp Coker. We're focused on the 75th anniversary of the camp and the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts, and we're visiting with Representative Alan Clemmons, a South Carolina House of Representatives member from the Myrtle Beach District, and an attorney with McCracken, Barnett, Richardson, and Clemmons. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, Alan.
It's my pleasure, Greg.
I don't know if you knew it. All week we've been kicking off the mornings, and after a commercial, coming back, kicking off the second interviews with. We're at the Clemmons campsite. I know you had nothing to do with that, but the excitement has been for us here in, I think it was on Wednesday. Johnny Waller and his son Rand were here, Justice Waller, talking about a couple of years ago the excitement of cleaning up this campsite when you couldn't see the lake behind us. And obviously the view is spectacular out here, and it's great to be out here with you on a Friday to wrap up the week.
It's good to be here, Greg, and I'm honored to be here in Camp Clemmons. I'm honored by the Boy Scouts to have this beautiful place named after me.
Well,
it is
obviously
gorgeous.
It was an effort on you and your family's part by making the commitment to both financially and time-wise to make these campsites happen. And this is something that anyone, a viewer, if they were, obviously so many viewers give time and volunteering. They also give efforts, financial efforts, and they can come out here and see some of the needs at Camp Coker or throughout the council, needs that will be not only around in 2003, but in many years to come.
Absolutely, Greg. For people like myself that came to Camp Coker as a child and have an emotional connection to this great place and know what kind of difference it can make in the lives of young men, I invite them to come out and adopt Camp Coker anew, make it a part of their heritage. Absolutely.
And you talked about growing up within the PD Area Council and visiting Camp Coker. Are you a native of the area?
I am. I was born and raised in Myrtle Beach. My family roots go back long and far in Horry County, and yes, my first year of scouting and every summer thereafter while I was a Boy Scout, I found myself right here in Camp Coker.
Wow. Not at the Clemmons campsite, but here close to the lake.
Close to the lake. This campsite is a new campsite, of course. These were woods. We play capture the flag in these woods.
What was that like growing up, coming up here to Camp Coker, Alan?
I have wonderful memories of Camp Coker. For me, those were the first excursions and experiences away from home for a week at a time. And for a young 11 or 12-year-old boy, of course it's going to leave a big impact. You'll remember that a long time.
Speaking of other big impacts, obviously the Myrtle Beach area has been impacted dramatically by your ascension to the position as representative of the South Carolina House. What's that been like, Alan? Have you adjusted pretty well to that transition? I'm sure that's been a big transition, the travels back and forth to Columbia representing the citizens of Horry County, or many of the citizens. That's a big deal.
Well, it is and has been a big deal, and it's a constantly evolving scenario. I find myself learning more every day that I'm in the legislature, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the process.
How about the most difficult part of the transition from being a full-time practicing attorney with McCracken, Barnett, Richardson, and Clemmons to taking on the capacity of being a full-time attorney but also being a House member? I mean, you've got to maintain your practice to a great degree, don't you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to thank my dear wife, Laura.
Oh, yeah.
Without her keeping the home fires burning and looking after the children, this would be impossible for me to do. But also my staff in my office. They work real hard to keep things moving appropriately, and my plate's a little more crowded than it used to be, but my staff helps alleviate that pressure.
Alan, how old were you when you joined the Boy Scouts?
On my 12th birthday, I joined the Boy Scouts.
Is that right?
That's right.
A little later than most.
Usually Boy Scouts starts at 11 years old.
Okay.
Prior to that, you would have Webelos, and prior to that, Cub Scouts.
Right.
I wasn't fortunate enough to be a part of a Cub Scout or a Webelo organization, and I started in Boy Scouts at 12.
And when did you attain the rank of Eagle?
I was 15 or 16 years old at that time.
Do you have any idea, Alan, if any of your colleagues in the State House are also Eagle Scouts?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there are several Eagle Scouts in the House of Representatives, and on the other side, in the Senate, there are several Eagle Scouts. And I've had a number of them approach me. I usually, when I'm wearing a suit, I'll have my Eagle Scout lapel pin on, and that will engender discussion about scouting. So I've had a number of Eagle Scouts approach me and tell me about their experience with scouting.
I think Justice Waller on Wednesday was saying that he was on the podium when Governor Sanford, now Governor Sanford, was being sworn in, and on the little bio write-up about him, 3 paragraphs, and the first paragraph opened up with, as an Eagle Scout, referring to now Governor Sanford. Pretty big deal. A lot of folks missed out on scouting, but are surely now living through it, like Justice Waller. He missed out on it, now getting it from his son.
Justice Waller is a very dynamic individual, and if I didn't know better, I would say that he was an Eagle Scout.
When you think about all the activities that went on for you, Alan, at Camp Coker growing up, can you think of what was probably most valuable to you visiting Camp Coker as a youth?
Visiting Camp Coker taught a number of things and continues to teach a number of things. It's an amplification of the Boy Scout motto, actually. It's an opportunity for intensive training in the values of scouting. Honesty, trustworthiness, learning the skills of a scout, learning to be self-reliant. And those are the things I remember about Camp Coker.
And you think those, obviously, you were in scouting 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. You think the council's programs are still up to date, that they're still providing that same level of commitment to training the youth up here now, still at Camp Coker?
Without a doubt. I see so many improvements and so many changes for the positive, enhancements of the facilities at Camp Coker and of the training materials. The leadership that we have, the volunteer leadership, is outstanding. And the training that the Boy Scout organization gives those leaders is superb training.
Absolutely. One thing, and obviously the volunteers would have to be strong, the programs would have to be strong before you would have your name associated with it at a great level, Alan. I think we're in line for Alan Clemmons to take over, your president-elect, to take over the PD Area Council in, is it November?
In November. I've been honored to ask to take that position, and I will be honored to serve. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I failed to mention that when we opened up the interview. Do you have any special memories when you think about yourself and your friends' involvement, attending Camp Coker? Anything that really meant a lot to your friends, that stories that they told you that stuck out in your mind, something you may not have experienced, but things that really meant a lot to them?
Oh, the things I remember, things like the swimming and canoeing in the lake, the high adventure activities, which to us were high adventure, going out into the woods and camping out for the night, and building your own fire, cooking your own meals, and teaching that self-reliance that is such a large part of scouting. Those are memories that are dear to me.
I bet. Alan, do you remember your first visit to Camp Coker?
I do, as a matter of fact. I remember the first time I laid eyes on Camp Coker. Our scoutmaster had dropped us off at the road that leads into Camp Coker. It seemed like miles before Camp Coker, but I'm sure it was not a very long distance. We were dropped off, and we hiked into Camp Coker, and by the time we got here, my pack weighed more than I did, and I was hanging on to the scout in front of me. But I was a small fella back then, and it's a good memory, though. The scoutmaster made us get out and work to get to Camp Coker, and I remember seeing that lake and I couldn't wait to get my swim trunks on and be in that lake.
That is great. Good for him.
Absolutely.
Good for him. I'm glad he made you do that. What prompted you think, Alan, to sponsor a campsite out here at Camp Coker, and what does that sponsorship provide?
Well, I have such fond memories of Camp Coker. Camp Coker and scouting made such a large difference in my life. Mm-hmm. And the lives of many young men at that time who have now grown up to be fathers and leaders in business. And scouting set the way for us. It assisted our parents in impressing the values that I hold dear today. And so I wanted to be a part of the Camp Coker expansion. And I was invited to assist in the building of this campsite, which I was happy to do. Mm-hmm. We have other projects going on at Camp Coker, and as I said before, all are invited to come and take part.
Absolutely. And the important thing is so many folks are out here volunteering in it. This is an incredible, and that's something that virtually any viewer could be involved in.
Absolutely. With or without former Scout experience. If the viewers have a desire to make a difference in the life of a young man, this is a place that they can come and expend their resources to make a true difference in the lives of our youth.
Mm-hmm. Alan, I've seen your image, that Eagle Scout image on TV or ads running on billboards and print ads, and I think about all the efforts that you've made to really get out to make sure folks understand what all scouting can do for a young man's life, and you stress it right there. How has that scouting experience contributed to your success as a husband, as a father, obviously as an attorney, and now as a statesman?
As I said before, I had the great benefit of having parents that taught me well in my youth. And this scouting experience buttressed their work with me. It enhanced that work. It taught me great values. It taught me how to follow. It taught me how to lead. The scouting experience taught me about working within a group, networking with others, about, as I've already said, being self-reliant. Those great points of the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. It all comes together within the life of an individual that has been working towards that end as a youth, and it becomes ingrained in that individual.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, as a father, how do you view the Boy Scout organization reaching out to boys and girls in our local schools?
Well, not only do we have great opportunities for outdoor experiences in scouting, scouting has come a long way. It's broadened its palette. Scouting is an educational organization. We believe in teaching values. In fact, that's a part of our charter. And we have expanded our mission into the schools, where we are now involved in programs that are categorized as Learning for Life programs, where we continue to help teach important life skills, where we also network with teachers and school administration inside of the schools to have after-school programs, to have programs during school, to not only teach these skills, but assist in areas needed in the educational arena.
Alan, you still display your Eagle Scout certificate?
Proudly. It's hanging on the wall of my office in a prominent position.
When you think of prominent positions, did anyone in particular have a prominent position in your life in your youth, Alan, to inspire you to get active in scouting?
I remember my scoutmaster. His name was Tony Cooley. He was stationed on the Air Force Base, and the troop was operated out of my church. And I had the opportunity to see Scoutmaster Cooley working with the young men in his troop before I was entered into the troop. And I saw what a great time they were having. And I saw the dedication of Mr. Cooley. And he provided a great example to those young men and to myself, provided a role model for all of us. I was excited to be a part of it.
It's names like Tony Cooley, role models, And names like President-elect and Representative Alan Clemmons, another role model, has made a big impact on youth here in our 11-county PD area council and continue to make that impact throughout the state of South Carolina. Alan, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to Chris Taylor coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Alan Clemmons campsite at Camp Coker in Society Hill. We're focused on the 75th anniversary of Camp Coker and the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts, and we're visiting with Chris Taylor, a radiologic technologist at the Cardiac Cath Lab at Carolina's hospital system, and the council commissioner as of April 25th for the PD Area Council. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning. This is a big title there. A lot involved with that.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
It sure is. My God, I'm glad the camera was on you while I was saying that. Are you originally from the area, Chris?
No, sir. I was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland. We moved. My whole family moved to Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, then South Africa, and then Canada, then finally down here.
From Canada, or from all of that down to Florence, South Carolina?
Yeah, yes, sir.
That's a big move.
Yes, sir.
That sure prompted a lot. And home now is in Florence. You have family with you?
It's in Florence. My brother lives with me in Florence, and I have two brothers, and my mother lives down in Charleston. I have another brother, but he lives up in Boston. So we're spread out a little bit.
What's your current profession now, Chris?
I work at Carolina Hospital Systems. I'm a cardiovascular interventional technologist. I told you, it's an X-ray tech, basically, and I work in the cath lab.
When did you first become involved in scouting, Chris?
I got into scouting when I was a young boy. I went to Cub Scouts in Rhodesia, in Salisbury, and I was in Cub Scouts. We moved up to Boy Scouting there, and after we left Rhodesia, I couldn't continue in Scouts, but once we finally got down here to South Carolina and lived in Columbia, I worked at Camp Barstow for 4 years, and so I've been in scouting pretty much all my life, off and on, a few hiatuses in between.
But to continue as an adult, that's a pretty big something obviously prompted. You said working at Camp Barstow, that's when you were a little later in life.
Yes, sir. Scouting is just has been a love of my life ever since, because of the experiences I had as a youth. Scouting has just always been a part of my life, and it's been important to me to make sure that the values of scouting are continued.
Let's talk about your role now, and when did this role? How did this role take on a new level of responsibility? You had been the commissioner for the Ataqua district,
yes, sir,
and are now the entire council commissioner. What exactly does that mean?
Basically, it's a liaison position between all the units that we service in the PD area council and the council board. If somebody's got a problem in the PD area council, any unit, it goes up through the ranks, ends up with me, and I take it to the council board, and we get it taken care of.
Well, that's a big deal.
Yes, sir. We service the entire PD area. It's a big job, but I'm up to the task, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
It's an 11-county council. Does that require you to have to get out on the road a good bit?
Yes, sir. Jim Head, myself, and I believe Alan are going to be going around quarterly, I believe, trying to meet with the district key three, which is the district commissioner and the district chairperson and the district executive, so that we can get a feel of what's going on in the district.
Chris, how did your scouting experience help you as you pursued your career at Carolina's hospital system?
Well, I think it's kept my morals straight. It's given me a way to keep up my ethical standards as far as my practice and what I do, and it gave me a love of serving people and doing what I can for the community, and I think that's really what's encouraged me and kept me going in what I do.
And when you said earlier on as an X-ray technician, that's a big deal. I mean, you are truly serving a lot of folks.
I hope that as a technologist I'm able to reach a lot of people and help them out. what I like to do. I like to help people.
With the levels of heart disease and strokes in the PD area council, I think this is the stroke capital of the world, and obviously that has a lot of impact on the heart.
Unfortunately, we do have a lot of patients, but fortunately we are there to take care of them if they need it.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think, Chris, that the values which the Boy Scouts of America has wrapped into their entire motto and their creed, why do you think those are even more important today than any other time?
Well, Greg, because today there are so many things vying for a child's attention, for the TV and with their Nintendo games and whatever else. A lot of children are missing out on what has to be offered out in the woods. And I think that by missing out on those opportunities, they're really not getting the life experience that we can, that Boy Scouts can give them. It can give them the moral things that keep them straight, give them life skills, basically.
You heard Chris Taylor say it. It's those practical life skills that you can pick up in scouting from another side of the world to Florence, South Carolina, now at Carolina's hospital system, but more importantly in that position now as commissioner for the entire 11-county PD area council. We're with Chris Taylor. Chris, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Jim Head coming up next. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Alan Clemmons campsite at Camp Coker. We're focused on the 75th anniversary of the camp and Jim Head from the PD Area Council. And Jim, this has been an incredible week. Thank you so much for helping orchestrate getting all these folks out here, obviously following Representative Clemmons and Chris this morning, and to think you kicked off the week with Ed Solivi. It's been a wonderful week.
We appreciate you coming out and giving us an opportunity to present what scouting's all about, because some of the gentlemen that you just mentioned is truly what we're all about. They're the results of a scouting program.
Absolutely, Jim. Can we talk real quick about some of the most urgent issues facing the PD Area Council today?
I guess our board is challenged with several issues. We're challenged with serving an increasing need and an increasing number of young people from all ethnic and religious backgrounds. We're challenged with some major financial issues that the entire country, our state, school systems are being challenged by these difficult time periods. And we just need to make sure we get our story told and that we raise the money necessary to ensure that each young person that wants to be a part of scouting has an opportunity to do so.
And there are so many young persons who probably just don't know about what's going on within scouting. Is there a special effort underway to reach potential scouters in the PD?
There truly is. We have an outreach program, and we have a committee, a special board that has been put together that are trying to reach the minority segment, as well as those people who might be socially or economically deprived.
Jim, for viewers who may not have called all week, to have seen the experiences that both young men, having Rand and Matthew out here, think about all the excitement that's happened for young as well as old men. Why do you believe it's important for the community to support the Boy Scout organization and its program?
Because we're the only organization that is truly owned by the community. It's our people. Our membership really comes from the community. We're supported by local churches. We're supported by their school systems. And our board, executive board, comes from all 11 counties that we serve. So scouting is not a program that's owned by the Boy Scouts of America. In fact, most people will be shocked to find out that we charter organizations to deliver our program. And our program is locally owned by them.
And Camp Coker is locally owned by those folks?
By everybody in the 11 counties that we serve. Camp Coker's property, our council service center, all the things that we do are basically driven by a volunteer-based executive board. And so, yes, we're owned by the community themselves.
If a viewer wasn't a part of that ownership, Jim, if they wanted to be a part of the Boy Scouts, who would they want to call?
Really, you can call our council office, and either myself or one of the members of my staff will get back with them immediately. It's real important that we tell our story. We're a complex organization. And sometimes people just look at us as a camping society, and the truth of the matter is that's such a small segment of what we do. Our whole mission, our whole purpose is to create an environment so that young people will be able to make ethical decisions throughout their lifetime. We're not really talking about a time period where a young Cub Scout in the first grade through the fifth grade, or a Boy Scout who enters at grade 6 and goes through high school, or venturing crews, or explorers, or even college-age students. We're talking about an organization that touches people their entire lifetime. We have a gentleman, Mr. Bernie Moore, okay, and he started coming out here to Camp Coker in the early 30s, and his dedication to the program hasn't wavered for 69 years. Can you imagine?
Amazing. Bernie was a treat this week. When you think about scouting for you, Jim, and I'm so glad you mentioned the 30 or 40 years that it reaches you. You kicked off the week stressing that when I asked you when did scouting values really kick in. What does scouting mean to Jim Head?
Scouting is probably, other than my loyalty and duty to my God, the most important thing that I can think of. It's a way that we can give back to the community. We give lip service to young people being our future, but they truly are. And I'll tell you, in these days and times, look around, we need quality people with high character to pick up the heavy burdens they're going to have to address in the next coming years.
You heard our Scout executive say it. We need quality people with high character, and that is exactly what the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts is delivering to this community, and you can be a part of the ownership. Take the time to call the PD Area Council's office, 843-662-6306, to volunteer your time or anything you can do to help out raising young men into a much stronger community. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. Call 843-662-6306 to learn how you can make a positive impact in the lives of our youth.